What's up, 12th Cab? Sergeant Ashaw, Sergeant First Class Talamantes here to give you weeks 3 and 4 of your fitness programs. So, get comfortable and get ready to exercise. Let's go. What's up, 12th Cab? Sergeant First Class Talamantes, Sergeant Ashaw here to give you day 3 of your workouts for weeks 3 through 4. So, let's get some lower body done today. Day 3, muscular endurance, lower body. Gonna start with warming up for 5 minutes. Jump rope, jog in place, bike, prep drill, single leg glutes, bridge, body squat, static inchworm, single leg lunge squat, 4 for the core drill, and the recovery drill. Next is the single leg glute bridge. This is where we are going to work the heck out of our hamstrings, and our glute is going to be involved. So the first thing you want to do is get you something sturdy like a chair, a couch, or a tough box. You're gonna rest your exercising leg about in the middle of your foot. Your next leg is gonna come up off the ground, and I'm gonna try to keep it as perpendicular to the ground and as straight as possible. Right now I can do this. Sometimes if I got a real tight hamstring, my leg will flex a little bit because it's just too tight. And that's fine, that's okay. The purpose is to try to keep it straight the entire time and stretching it out. I also have my toe bent at a 90-degree angle so that I get more of a stretch on the back of the leg as opposed to just my toe being up like this. So we're gonna have our hands at a 45-degree angle to our sides. I'm gonna put my head down. I'm gonna start the exercise, breathing on the way up. That's 1 rep. That's 2 rep. Focusing on the squeeze, on the glute and the ham, and trying to make sure that this leg that's not doing the work is straight. Now when we wanna switch, we're just gonna swap feet here. Do the same thing. Make sure that foot is perpendicular to the ground, or your leg is perpendicular to the ground, and your foot is bent at a 90-degree angle. Next is the body squat. Very simple and effective exercise, especially if we can do this exercise right. So the first thing we want to remember whenever we do exercise is getting that posture correct. Shoulders back, down, keeping that neck neutral, not bending our head forward or way back here. I like to think about the double chin there to keep my spine straight. Also, we're going to tighten this core, pushing on that inner abdominal wall to tighten everything up. We also want to tighten the glutes. All right, as I work my way down my body in my checkpoints, I'm making sure that my feet are pointed outwards, or my toes are pointed outwards, because that's where I want my knees to follow, and that's where I want my hips to, or my femurs to lock into my hips so they don't get caught up. So without further ado, hands on the hips. I'm gonna bring my hands out in front of me to maintain balance. So for weighted squats, if you want, I just added my IOTV. You can take your plates out if you want. You can leave your plates in. You don't have to do it with your IOTV at all. If you just want to add a little bit of weight that's on your body, that's close to your body, not something out here or up here, or something we have to hold, but something that's attached to our body, that's fine. So just for an example, it would look like this. Breathe in, out on the way up. I want my thighs perpendicular with the ground. I don't need to go hams to calves. I don't need to go that low. I just need to go about right here where my knee and my hips are about aligned. That's it. And that is your unweighted body squat. Next is the static inchworm. Most of us are used to doing the inchworm. We push our arms out, and then we walk our feet up to us. Well, to work our hamstrings, we're gonna push out and then pull ourselves back up. And this is what's gonna actually engage our glutes and our hamstrings. So we're gonna come down to the ground. You don't have to go fast. Touch the ground, keeping your arms and legs as straight as possible. And you're gonna walk it out to the plank position. And now, really tighten those hams, bring it back in, keeping those arms and legs straight. That's one. Into a good plank position, hold for a second, engage those hamstrings and glutes, and pull yourself back in, keeping those arms straight, legs straight. That's two. Keep your legs tight the entire time. Right now, I am pulling these heels back, tightening those hams, and bringing it up. Next exercise is the single leg lunge squat. This is going to challenge your balance, kind of like the single leg deadlift did, but we're gonna use a chair this time. So here we go. The setup is probably the hardest part of this exercise, to be honest with you. What we're gonna do is we're gonna set our foot back up on the chair. I like to keep my toe down, okay? Not like this with my laces down. I like to keep my toe down. It allows a little more flexibility in my leg when I bring my knee down to the ground. Now I'm gonna bring this knee over my ankle, and I want my leg to bend slightly down. I don't want to start like this, where my knee is straight and behind my ankle. I don't want to start like this, where my knee in front of my toe. In fact, I want to try to keep my body weight and my knee behind my toe the whole time. Sometimes that it might go over just a little bit, but that's something I want you to consciously think. Something that helps me with my balance is, don't think of yourself being on a tightrope, but think of yourself being on tracks. I'm on this foot, and my feet are hip width apart, so my other foot is kind of balancing me on my left and right here. So without further ado, we're gonna come on and bring it down into a squat. I'm gonna drive this knee down to the ground. It doesn't have to touch the ground, but that's just the direction I want it to go. That's one. That's two. That's three. I'm not trying to just lock this knee back. All right, I'm just trying to keep it slightly flexed. Something else that's helping me with my balance is I'm pulling my heel towards my toe. I'm pulling them together. This kind of brings everything, it tightens everything up and keeps you centered. Next foot, step around the same spot. Go ahead, get that foot back there. It's actually easier if you set this back foot first, and then hop this foot to where you need it to go, where my knee is over my ankle. And let's get started. It's okay if you falter a little bit. So at the end of our lower body day, actually really the end of most of our workouts, I always incorporate some kind of core exercise. It's usually the fifth or last exercise before we do the recovery drill. Today we're doing 4 for the core. So without further ado, the bent leg raise. Bent leg raise is gonna start out with you holding your knuckles to eat up that space underneath your back. I like to fold my hands like this underneath the small of my back, or you can just scrunch your knuckles up. And then you're gonna push that navel down into the ground. You should already feel a little bit of tension before you even start to bring your knees up. Now we're gonna bring your knees up. We're gonna straighten the legs just slightly, bending those knees out in front of us. I'm gonna try to keep those feet at a 90-degree angle, and I'm gonna hold for 1 minute. After that 1 minute is done, you bring your knees back, drop the feet down to the ground, and that's it. The key is to make sure you eat up that space in between your spine and the ground, where that arc is in your spine. If you have that arc, everybody's different. And pulling that navel down to the ground. Next, we got the side bridge. This is a pretty simple exercise. The thing that gets people is crossing your legs at the heels, or I'm sorry, the ankles here, and putting all your weight on the bottom foot. It's your top leg, but it's your bottom foot once it gets down to the bottom and you've crossed your ankles. Also, we do not want to lay our foot flat on the ground as we can hyperextend our ankle. We want to keep it up on that knife edge here. And if you'll notice, I have that 90-degree angle, keeping my hamstrings tight. Now, when we're coming up into the side bridge for that 1 minute, what we want to do is focus on making a T. Right, once we're up, right, we are up, elbows on the ground, supporting that weight. I want a T to come up this way, a line coming this way, and a line coming down that spine. I don't want to compromise that line by having my hips off. I also don't want to twist. I just want to stay straight. Putting that non-stabilizing hand on my belly button, putting the palm to help belly button. I'm gonna hold this for 1 minute. Once you're done, just sag those hips. But what's gonna happen is as you get tired, you're gonna start compromising that position, doing all this, fidgeting around. Try to keep that side bridge position, that T, all right, those lines, the entire time. And you're gonna switch, do the other side after 1 minute. The next exercise is the back bridge. So we're gonna come into the back bridge by putting our arms at a 45-degree angle. We're gonna rest that head on the ground and keep that neutral spine. We don't want it up here or anything like that. Next, we are gonna keep our feet flat on the ground. We're gonna bring our hips up, try to keep them in line with our knees, in between our knees and our shoulders here, or our shoulder blades. Then we're gonna start with our left, bring it up. Starting time now. And every 5 seconds, you're gonna drop that leg and start with the next one. Every 5 seconds. Now what's gonna happen is eventually your hips are gonna start to sag. Your leg's gonna go crazy. You're gonna start doing crazy stuff. The point is to try to keep it locked down the entire 5 seconds. Now, if you can't do this, it's okay. You can reset for a second and get your strength back if you need to. But you want to change those feet every 5 seconds for 1 minute. The final and favorite exercise of 4 for the core is the quadruplex. Quadruplex is a really good core exercise. I know everybody hates it. That's because it's effective. So to set up our position, I like to line up my knees with my hips, my elbows with my knees, and then make sure that my hands are underneath my shoulders. I'm spreading my hands apart, or my fingers apart. All right, so we're gonna start by lifting the left leg and right hand. Boom, 1 minute. Your legs should be parallel to the ground. It's hard for me to tell right now. So this is great if you have a buddy to tell you. Am I straight?
Lift your leg a little.
Okay, there we go. All right, thank you. And my arm should be straight. While I'm doing this, what I'm thinking about is ripping my body in half, my heel going back, my fingers going forward. And to keep my core tight, I wanna pull my hand on the ground towards my knee on the ground. And it actually tightens everything together. And while all this is happening, I gotta remember to keep this leg up, my toe bent, not straight out, but bent like this, and keep my hand out in front of me in parallel to the ground. So when we're done with that 1 minute, we're gonna come back. We're gonna start the next minute by lifting our right leg and our left hand. Notice my toe is bent, facing the ground or toward the ground, not out behind me, laces towards the ground, but towards the ground. Again, I'm gonna imagine ripping my body apart by pulling my hand forward and my heel back. And then I'm gonna tighten that core by pulling my hand on the ground towards the knee on the ground. And this really tightens everything up. Don't forget to breathe. And once you're done with your minute, you are done with 4 for the core. Congratulations, 12 cab, you just finished leg day. So hopefully you got something out of it. I know for me, it's a little bit challenging because I have old injuries that come back and haunt me through some of these exercises. So anywho, have a great day and we'll see you tomorrow for Active Recovery.